Hi friends, it's Deanna here today, and we are once again working on our Once Upon a Princess capsule, and this time we're making the Anna inspired dress. So this is really super cute. We're using the whole school cool pattern with the long sleeve, and all we're doing is just color blocking. So it's by color blocking I mean the sleeves are a different color and the neckband is a different color and the skirt is a different color, and then we're adding some vinyl to the dress, and that's all we're doing to alter it into an Anna inspired dress. So the first thing I did is I did create some little vinyl designs on my Cricut machine, and I've been sticking them on. I've got the little pieces on here, and what I did is I just kind of created my own design and came back and glued them on. I mean, not glue them on, hot ironed them on. I know what I did is I quartered my skirt how it was already folded, you know, when I folded it, and I went ahead and pinned all the different spots. And as I pinned all the different spots, I ended up with 8 different areas. So I printed 4 of each. So it was 4 of the longer flower and 4 of the shorter flower for the bottom of the dress. I put them 1.5 inches away from the edge because I'm gonna do a 1/2 inch allowance. So I still wanted them to be not all the way up. I wanted them to be like right there, but I still wanted to be able to do the hem. So I didn't want to run over them with my hem. And then for my bodice, I made the flower for the bodice. And I haven't attached it yet, so I kind of wanted to show you. This is the right side of my fabric. Now, I thought about doing embroidery, but I didn't really look very closely. I'm sure there's some beautiful embroidery files out there that you can grab and you can buy and put on the front. I also thought about doing hand embroidery. That would be really pretty. The only thing that scared me was that it has to be precise, like from one side to the other. But I'm sure if you use like a fabric marker or something to marker before you do it, it would be great, but I'm not the best at it. So I just went with vinyl because vinyl is easy for me. I feel like I'm going to go ahead and split it in half, like fold my fabric in half. That way I know exactly where my half is. It always kind of throws me off. If you have been watching any of my videos, I'm not like perfectionist when it comes to sewing. Sometimes I don't even match my stripes, and sometimes my fabric is not the right way. I've done that before. But one thing that does kind of bother me is when something's not centered. So that sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't get it centered. So with vinyl, the really cool thing is that you have this heat transfer vinyl, and you can use any kind of machine like a Cricut or a Cameo, or there's different machines like that, and you have the actual shape that you want to print. You get it on your machine, and then you can put it right on to this vinyl, and then when you remove the clear coat or whatever, the covering, hold on if I can do it right, then you will have your shape of the flower that you, or whatever it is that you printed that you want to put on your fabric. So here's the design. It's that like kind of design that goes in the front, and I'm gonna put that right in the front. I'm gonna use that line that I just made to kind of make sure it's in the middle. You know, I'm not perfect, so it might not end up right in the middle, but I'm gonna try a little bit and try to get it even. So once it's on there, it's like stuck on there. I might want to go up a little bit because this is gonna eat up right here. So you want to make sure, I want to make sure that there's enough room on both sides, because I don't want it to be too high or too low. I'm gonna go up just a little bit. Okay, and I think, and once you put it on there, then you apply heat. And what I'm just gonna use this guy right here. You usually put a cloth right on top, and you apply heat to it to attach it, adhere, so it can adhere to your bodice. And then I'll add different colors. So I have like little flowers in different colors to add to the color of the flower, so it's not just that green stem right there. So I printed out like little flowers to add around it and stuff like that. Another way that I was thinking would be really cool to do, but I didn't have the supplies on hand, was to do puff paint. And that would be easy and quick and super cute as well. I've done that before with like bags and stuff, so it would work just great. Once you apply heat, and I know I didn't apply enough heat, I need to apply more heat because it's kind of not coming as well on this side. But once you apply enough heat, you can remove it and your stencil will be right on your dress. Let me do a little bit more heat over here, and let me go ahead and add, I just squirted myself with water. I hit the squirt button. And I'm gonna go ahead and add the other pieces, and then we'll continue to actually sew this dress together. I'm gonna show you. See? It's gonna come along. I think it's gonna be beautiful. Once my bodice is finished. Look at how cute that looks. Now, I added just a couple of like dots and flowers and things to it. You can add a little bit more if you want it more intricate or whatever, however you want it. So now we're gonna go ahead and put our bodice front and back together. So now we start actually sewing our garment. I'm gonna grab my back and I'm gonna put it face up on my board. And I'm gonna grab my front, I'm gonna put it face down right on it. So I'm using cotton lycra for this one as well, this dress. And I'm using black for the bodice. It kind of looks like the vest like that Anna wears. And then I'm using my, like a lighter blue for the sleeves and the neck. So it kind of looks like the top that goes under. And I'm using this dark blue for the skirt. So I think that will go really, really cute. And I'm excited. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew those shoulders together. Again, I'm using a stretch stitch on my sewing machine or a serger. So it's up to you if you wanna use a stretch stitch or a serger on those. All right, so for now that our shoulders are done, for this dress, we're doing the long sleeve version of the school cool. And for the long sleeve version, if you grab your sleeve, now this is wrong sides together. I'm just gonna fold it. Doesn't really matter if it's wrong sides, right sides, because you're just gonna grab your pattern piece, which is on the floor right now, which I'm gonna grab in just a minute. Oh my Lord, I almost couldn't reach it. And you see right here, there's a line that tells you, it says gather between. So I'm gonna put that right on my pattern and pin right there. Now, you saw that I didn't set it up straight right here and I didn't really pin it correctly. It really doesn't matter. You're just gathering that top half of your sleeve. So I'm gonna do it on both sleeves. I'm gonna put that mark right there. My iron is turning off. I better turn it back on because I'll need it later so I can steam all my seams. Anyway, and what we're doing is we're gonna put a gathering / basting stitch right from pin to pin, because we're going to gather this sleeve just enough up here that it'll fit on your arm side. I couldn't think of the word. On your arm side. So I'm gonna go on my sewing machine, and all I'm doing is I'm gonna do a basting stitch, just a long stitch. It's a size 6 on my sewing machine, all the way from one pin to the other, leaving a little tail at the ends. Don't sew it together. Just start and go. Like, don't run back and forth at the end. You're just doing a straight stitch and leaving a tail at one end and at the other end, so you can gather the sleeve just a little bit at the top. So I have gathered, I have the basting stitch, but before I gather, I want to mark my top. So I folded it in half and I'm marking where the top of my sleeve is, because that's the part that I'm going to put on the shoulder seam. So I'm going to open my bodice and I'm going to put my arm side out just like so. You can see it right here. And I want to, my ironing board is stuck on my chair. It won't move. And I want to grab my sleeve and I'm going to put it right sides together to the bodice. And I'm going to match up that top seam. And then I'm going to grab my gathering, and I'm gonna let's slow down a little bit, okay? I'm gonna put my pin right here, and I'm gonna grab my gathering stitch, and I'm just gonna pull just a little bit. Honestly, it's not much of a gather. You're not gathering a whole lot. You're just gathering a little bit, so that when you go to match it up along the side, it matches perfectly, and it's just as wide. So it's just a little bit of a gather, not a whole lot. So just a little bit. And that's going to be enough to give it a little bit of an oomph. And it actually looks really, really cute. And it actually works super, I keep saying actually. And it works really, really well with this, whatever you call it, princess inspired dress, because it makes it look like there's a shirt underneath. It really does. It makes it look like you're wearing like a little sleeve top underneath it. So it looks really, really good. So it's like perfect. And I'm gonna do the same on the other side. So I'm pulling just a little bit on that basting stitch just to gather a little bit. Again, it's not a whole lot of gathers. And I'm going to the end. I'm gonna put that edge together right here at the end. Raw edges matching and making sure that it fits. If it doesn't fit, then you just gather it a little bit more. And there it is. Perfection. And now we're gonna go back on our serger or sewing machine, whichever one you're doing, and you're gonna sew around that sleeve cap, sewing those two together. And we're gonna do the same for both sleeves. So I wanted to bring you closer because I know you love an in-depth look of what I'm doing. And you just love seeing my hair get in the way. So I'm gonna start right here at the end, and I'm gonna sew just a couple stitches, and I'm gonna line up until that first pin. It's just gonna go straight. So it's just gonna be no pulling, no tugging, nothing, okay? And then when we get to over here where it's supposed to be a little bit gathered, I want my gathers to be up top, that way I can see them. And I wanna make sure that they're even and that it's catching all the way up top. Now, like I said, you don't have that many gathers. It really isn't like you're, gathering the sleeve all the way. Like, it's barely any gathers. So it's super easy. See how it's like barely any gathers. I'm going all the way down, making sure that none of my other fabric is catching underneath. So then when I get to this pin, it's just a straight shot around. And I know I caught my basting stitch, so it's gonna be harder for me to pull that basting stitch out, but it'll come out. So now when you turn it, it gives it a little bit of a poof on the sleeve. Just a little bit, not a whole lot, just a little bit of poof. And it makes it look like it's got a shirt underneath. Alrighty, this is gonna be so gorge. I am so excited about it already. I love the pop of color and everything. It's just looking beautiful. Now I'm gonna go ahead and grab my sides, and I'm gonna sew these sides together. So I'm gonna sew meet up the seam right here at the armpit, and I'm gonna go down the bodice, right sides together. And I am gonna go, after I go down the bodice, I'm gonna go down the sleeve, right sides together. And honestly, we just have hem sleeves, neckband, attached skirt on, and we're done. Like, this is such a quick and cute dress. So there we go, sides, and I'm gonna do the same on the other side, sides. And then after I do my sides, you can go ahead and hem your sleeve. Since this is a long sleeve, it's just gonna take a hem, and it's just gonna be a 1/2 inch hem allowance. So we're just gonna fold it up 1/2 inch to the wrong side and hem it. Hem it. And I'm honestly just using I'm using a dark blue, the same dark blue I'm using for my skirt. I'm gonna be using it for my sleeve. So when I'm done sewing it together, I'm gonna fold it wrong sides like this for 1/2 inch, and I'm gonna go ahead and hem it as well so we can get that done. So let's go ahead and sew that side and hem the sleeve. Looking so adorable. Sides are done, sleeve hem. with thread included. Done. Now we're gonna put them together. So I've got my bodice and I'm gonna match up my sides together first. And I'm gonna go to the front and the back. And I am going to clip just to mark my front and mark my back. And I'm gonna do the same for my skirt. I'm going to match my sides and my back. So here's my sides, and if I go back and match my sides like so, I can find my front and back right here. I'm clipping front and back, and I'm gonna clip my sides. So here's one side and here's the other side. So those are my quarters. So now I've got 4 quarters clipped out with my flowers at the bottom. How super cute. And then I'm going to get my bodice, and I can either fit my bodice in there, or if I turn my skirt inside out, then I can fit my bodice right side out inside my skirt. Basically what we're doing is we want to match the right side of the bodice and the right side of the dress together. And we're going to pin where those little notches I just made. It doesn't matter what's your front or back of your skirt, unless you only did flowers on the front and you wanted that to be the front, then that's when it matters. But it's a circle skirt, so it's all the same in every angle. So it doesn't matter what side you put in the front and what side you put in the back or the side or whatever. So we're pinning. Now, I am not using the clear elastic right now. I don't love the feeling of the clear elastic, and I don't have a lot of it, so I'm not gonna be using it. But if you were to use a clear elastic, what you would just do, you would go ahead and put it right on top of the seam right here, and then you can sew it at the same time that you're sewing your seam, okay? If you don't want to do it at the same time, you can grab your bodice and sew first your clear elastic right at the edge of the bodice, and then sew your skirt and your bodice together. Clear elastic's there to give it stability so that the skirt doesn't pull too much on your top. You do not stretch the clear elastic when you're sewing it on. You're just allowing it to go through. So it's just sitting there on the top of your fabric as your machine is sewing those two things together. So that's all you have to do. So let's go ahead and sew this together, and we are basically done. All right, once again, I'm bringing you close up. And what I'm doing is I'm making sure when I go to my pin that my fabric of my skirt and my bodice are together at the raw edge. And I'm also feeling that there's nothing from my fabric coming under and getting caught and, you know, kind of getting cut there when I'm trying to sew it where it doesn't belong. So I want to make sure. I always use this hand right here to feel and make sure that there's nothing coming up, because sometimes especially when you have something like this dress that has a lot of skirt, it's a really nice circle skirt, you don't want any of the skirt or the bodice or anything like that to kind of jam its way under and get cut underneath. So then we're just going along and sewing those two together. And I'm going to continue all the way around. And when I'm done, I'm going to check to make sure I didn't leave any openings, any gaps. You might have to just pull a tiny little bit to even it out, but it should be good. Let's finish it up. Neckband, and we're done. Y'all, I honestly can't get over how cute this is going to be. Look at it. Just look at it. It's coming along perfectly. So beautiful. Okay, so now we got our neckband and our hem. For the hem, we're just going to do a 1/2 inch allowance, just like we did for the sleeve. So you will just fold the skirt 1/2 inch and go all the way around. Let me show you when I'm doing a circle skirt. I don't fight with the fabric. I have all these pins because I was marking the quarters. I just fold it a 1/2 inch, and as I'm going around, I kind of tug at it. I tug at it nicely. As you're tugging at it, it makes the skirt lay flat. It makes the fabric lay flat and do the circle with you. So you're going around the circle so it doesn't get all fluffy and weird. So that's what I do when I'm doing a circled hem. Don't be afraid of it. I know sometimes we're scared because it's rounded, but honestly, you just tug at it a little bit, and steam the heck out of it, and it lays nice and flat. Now you see a little bit of wrinkle right here. Once I sew it on and iron it, that will go flat. And honestly, it is not that bad. I know it is scary. It looks scary. It sounds scary. It's not that scary. We're just flattening it out and pulling it and telling that fabric, this is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. Listen and do as I say, right? If it was that easy. And so I'm gonna go all the way around. I just wanna go ahead and give that memory fold. This is one of the good things about using a cotton lycra. I do like the fact that the crease kind of stays there really well, and I am going to be using a cover stitch so it kind of sits there and waits for me as I'm gonna do it. What was I gonna say? There was something else I was gonna say and then it went out of my mind. It is a circle skirt, so there is a lot to hem. It's a huge circle, but that's what makes it so magical, because it gives it the best twirl factor. It is amazing. And you know what's really, really neat? If you didn't know this, we have this School Cool doll dress, and it is free. It is a free pattern. So if you want to make the Elsa dress for the doll to go along, you can do it. And again, it's a free pattern. So go ahead and whip it out, and this would be like a perfect birthday present. Don't you think? I think so. I would love it, and I'm not even a child. So we're gonna hem that in a little bit, but first we're gonna move on to do our neckband. And all that steaming has got me all hot. Okay, so we're gonna open our neckband and we're gonna fold it first off wrong sides together. Get my wrong sides together. And I like to give it a memory press, because once I sew it together in a circle, it's easier if you have a memory press to be able to turn it again. So I'm gonna meet those raw edges at the top, and I'm gonna sew that together. I'm just gonna do it real quick while you're still watching me. There it is. I'm just gonna trim those edges because it doesn't really matter. And I didn't even think about the fact that I have black thread. That's okay, because the bodice is black. So I'm gonna fold it again. See, now is where that fold comes in handy, because I had already given it that memory fold, so it's easy to fold. Somebody showed me that trick and I was like, mind blown. It was awesome. It's helped so much. I'm gonna put it flat on my ironing board. I'm just gonna give it another second little steam. And I'm gonna go to the front and I'm gonna mark that quarter. Well, that's the front, so really it's the half. And then I'm going to match up those front and back, and I'm gonna go to the sides, and I'm gonna match 1, and I'm gonna match 2, and I am going to mark them on the sides. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for my bodice. My son is, I don't know if you can hear him, has been talking to his cousin, which is who this dress is for, and they've been talking on FaceTime, and they've just been having the cutest conversation. It is so sweet. I love it. And I can hear them every once in a while talking about different things. They had a coloring contest earlier, so that was really sweet. So I'm meeting the two side seams together. You can't really see them because they're black, so I'm meeting them right there, but I'm going towards the back and marking. I'm gonna go to the front and mark. So we got our front and our back. Now, your side seams are not, your shoulder seams are not your sides. So you wanna make sure that you match the front and back and go to the one side and notch. And then do the same to the other side. Don't use your shoulder seams as your quarters, because then it's gonna come out uneven and you won't have the best neckline. Okay, so now once that's done, we're gonna grab our neckband and we're gonna match up those notches you just made with the notches you made on the band. And you wanna make sure that you're attaching it to the right side of the fabric. The right side is the right side. That was awful. And I'm matching. Okay. Once I match those raw edges, we're going to go ahead and sew that neckband on. And I'm going to bring you closer so you can see how I sew my neckbands. I'll show you. Woo! And we'll be done. All right, here we are at my neckband. I've got my back seam. I always want to leave that for the back because I want to, on this dress it doesn't really matter because there's a serious look at which one is the front and the back, but I don't put tags on my things, so I want to make sure that they know which one's the front and the back. You're going to, I usually like to start it off just a couple stitches at the beginning. I'm going to place my band right over my neck. I like my band to be face up so I can see how much I'm eating. I'm going to grab my first quarter point and I'm going to make sure that I'm matching up those raw edges together, and I'm going to sew. I go to the next quarter point. I make sure I match them up together. I have to stretch my band just a little bit, my neckband just a little bit. Match those raw edges. Make sure nothing's under it. Make sure it's all nice and straight. Take your time with your neckband. Out of everything, I think your neckband is like the most important part. That's what most people see. That's what you're gonna see. That's what's gonna drive you insane if you don't do it right. So take your time. Take your time. All right, I'm gonna finish up that last quarter and then we're gonna hem that dress and we will be done. All right, my dress is done. It is beautiful. I went ahead and hemmed it. How cute. The last thing I wanted to show you was you have this tail ending right here, and I don't want that tail hanging there, so I wanted to show you how I get rid of it. I put that tail right over my seam. I go over my sewing machine and I make it a zigzag stitch, and I zigzag stitch that seam, that tail right onto that seam. Just so it's stuck on there. Then I go ahead and trim around it and trim my hem, my seam and everything, and there it is. You can't even tell. You can see that I zigzagged all over it, but you can't even tell it's there. Well, especially if I trim it nicer. I haven't trimmed it very nice, but you get it. So there is my dress, Anna inspired dress. How beautiful is this? Please let me know if you have any questions about anything that I did or did not do in this video. Let me know what else you want to see. Please comment, like, share, subscribe, and come find us on Facebook and Instagram so you can share with us what you're making and you can be inspired by what everybody else is making. I hope you have a great and lovely day, and I'll see you all next time.